So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 26th chapter, a description of the hellish planets. And we read from text 23. एतद्विभावै वृषणि पतयो नष्ट शौचारनियास् वक्तलज्जा पशु चार्यं चरन्ति ते चापि प्रेत्य भूयाविन्मुत्र श्लेष्ममाला पुनर्नवे निपतन्ति तदेव तेऽपि भासितम् अश्नन्ति. The shameless husbands of the low-born Shudra women live exactly like animals, and therefore they have no good behavior, cleanliness, or regulated life. After death, such persons are thrown into the hell called Puyoda, where they are put into an ocean filled with pus, stool, urine, mucus, saliva, and similar things. Shudras could not improve themselves. Shudras who could not improve themselves fall into that ocean and are forced to eat those disgusting things. But Shri Narottam Das Thakur has sung Karma Kanda Jnana Kanda Kevala Vishera Bhanda Amrita Bali Jiva Khai Nana Yoni Sada Fire Kadariya Bhakshana Kare Tara Janma Adhapate. He says that persons following the paths of Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, fruitive activities, and speculative thinking are missing the opportunities for human birth and gliding down into the cycle of birth and death. Thus, there is always a chance that he may be put into the Puyoda Narak, the hell named Puyoda, where one is forced to eat stool, urine, pus, mucus, saliva, and other abominable things. It is significant that this verse is spoken especially about Shudra, because if one is born a Shudra, he must continually return to the ocean of Puyoda to eat the horrible things. Thus, even a born Shudra is expected to become a Brahmana. That is the meaning of human life. Everyone should improve himself. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnayam maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagashah, 413, according to the three modes of material nature, and the work ascribed to them, four divisions of human society were created by me. Even if one is, by qualification, a Shudra, he must try to improve his position and become a Brahmana. No one should try to check a person, no matter what his present position is, from coming to the platform of a Brahmana or a Vaishnava. Actually, one must come to the platform of a Vaishnava. Then he automatically becomes a Brahmana. This can be done only if the Krishna consciousness movement is spread, for we are trying to elevate everyone to the platform of Vaishnava. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja. Abandon all of the things and simply surrender unto me. One must give up the occupational duties of a Shudra, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and adopt the occupational devotee duties of a Vaishnava, which include the activities of a Brahmana. Krishna explains this in Bhagavad Gita 9:32. Mamhi partha viprashite yepishu papayonayah Sriyo Vaishya Sata Shudra Stepiyanti Paramvate. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, masses, as well as Shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. Given life is specifically meant for going back home, back to Godhead, that facility should be given to everyone, whether one be a Shudra, a Vaishya, a woman, or a Kshatriya. This is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. However, if one is satisfied to remain a Shudra, he must suffer as described in this verse. Tat eva tibhi hat sitam ashnanti. So, many times, people feel that one should set one's material stature very properly, very nicely, and then slowly and progressively one may advance in Krishna consciousness. So therefore the dictum being canvassed is that, okay, first materially settle, first materially be very stable, be very robust, be very solid, be very well situated, and then one can and the spiritual fabric can be increased in due course. There is no hurry. There is no hurry, no worry, actually. That's what people say. But how false it is, how flaky it is. Because how false and flaky it is. Do we need to open this or? Yes. Yes, here we are understanding from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam that somebody remains on the platform of a Shudra, he is going to a hellish planet. And therefore, Prabhupada's vehement appeal that one should raise oneself. Now, this is revolutionary because Srila Prabhupada's emphasis is even a Shudra has to elevate himself or herself, because if they don't, they're going to a hellish planet. So human life is meant to learn discrimination. The Shudra is characteristic of the principle that no discrimination. That is the Shudra. The Shudra is a person who, why the Shudra is equated to, the Shudra is most attached to sensuality, because the Shudra cannot discriminate. So this is bad for me. So one who lacks the discriminative power to distinguish between good and bad, long-lasting and long-lasting and flickering, the Shreyas and Prayas, one who cannot discriminate, such a person is called as a Shudra, because such a person always opts for the cheap sense gratification. So, and that is why we see this hellish Puyoda, then they are, because there's such a person, he keeps doing abominable activities throughout life with no discrimination, and therefore One is made to go to this Puyoda where one has to eat all these abominable things. So the human life is meant for this purpose. And that is why we have to understand that Krishna consciousness cannot be given a secondary pedestal over any situation in life. That is why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj used to say that Krishna consciousness cannot wait, no matter what. Because Krishna consciousness is an urgency. Now, I say, this being the case, now some devotees have a thought process that, okay, Varnashrama is everything. So they feel, okay, that because I'm in Varnashrama, I am doing my, I'm doing my no, Varnashrama aspects very proper way. That's it. But here, Srila Prabhupada is not agreeing to this kind of a proposition. Yes, one. Yes, okay, so, so Srila Prabhupada is not agreeing to this kind of a proposition because one has to elevate oneself to the platform of a Vaishnava. One has to elevate oneself to the platform of a Brahmana. One has to elevate one's consciousness to this spiritual domain. And that is what is being talked about. That is what is being explained. So that the question then comes is that, okay, then why are these divisions at all there? So if one thinks that, okay, I can go on doing, say if a person saying, okay, so I am on a pedestal, and okay, I'm doing my, so I can go on doing my job and someone struggle to fit in a basic level of spiritual practice. Maybe just somehow or the other finish my 16 rounds because I'm taking initiation, but then all of the time I can just focus on the job and focus on the family and focus on career and so on. Is it enough? It is not enough because Varnashrama does not lead one towards transcendence. I mean, Varnashrama does not ensure transcendence. Varnashrama is a platform where transcendence can be cultivated. But Varnashrama itself is not tantamount to transcendence. So therefore the question which comes is that, okay, then why these divisions are there of Varna at all? These divisions are only so that we can understand how much materially engrossed position we are in, so that we can accordingly choose the gear of spiritual life or spiritual intensity. So that is the only point. That is the only point. Just like you see Bhakti Tirth Maharaj. So Bhakti Tirth Maharaj would chant 32 rounds. And then later, the later years, Maharaj started chanting 42 rounds every day, along with all his terrific preaching services. Maharaj used to chant 42 rounds every single day. Even as a brahmachari, from day one of initiation, he was chanting 32 rounds. So he never go down below 32. So like that. And now the question is, so many times Maharaj asked that, okay, why so much time for chanting and so much emphasis on chanting? Maharaj would always reply that, okay, I am from a very fallen clan. So the African body, and the mindset tainted with the African culture and body settings. So Maharaj will say that, okay, so I need more spiritual inputs. I need more spiritual input. So he would chant every day 42 rounds. Because Maharaj said, okay, we are from a fallen culture and fallen body, this African body and African mindset. So we need more spiritual intensity. We need more spiritual intensity. So Maharaj is actually pointing out to the point why actually these divisions are there, so that we can really understand that how direly we need Krishna conscious intensity. So yes, when the Shastras say Kalo Shudra Sambhavat, so everybody was born as a Shudra in Kali Yuga, which means how much direly we need the intensity of Krishna consciousness. So if someone thinks that one is, so say one is on a platform of a Brahmana, that doesn't mean they need, so one is on a platform of Brahmana. So one is on a platform of Brahmana. Then again, the calling which comes is that, okay, if one is on a platform of Brahmana, one needs to, because Brahmana is supposed to be more responsible and lead a good example. So the Brahmana should always be alert and attentive to one's spiritual upkeep. In that sense, like I remember our Subhag Maharaj was sitting. So he was telling, okay, Prabhupada gave 16 rounds, but that is for Westerners. 16 rounds every day. That is for Westerners because they cannot do more. Their body, their minds, uh, to be able to do more. The 16 itself is a very big ordeal for them. To do more than that is very difficult for them. But Subhagman is telling, but this Prabhupada gives 16 rounds, that was for Westerners, not for Indians. Indians can chant much more than that every single day. So Indians can chant much more than that. That means what? Indians can, and I should also serve much more than that. So because the body and the mind is tuned in to take on a better gear. So one should not simply. So therefore, uh, we have to understand that the whole division of Varnashrama is that so that one can really understand one's weakness and one can really understand one's how much level of entanglement one is in. So accordingly, in a customized fashion, one can see how to insert the intensity of Krishna consciousness. That is the only reason. Otherwise, there is no such religion and division. Because there is always a possibility to get lost and submerged in the pool of Varnashrama and never go forward. So therefore it is said, Varnashrama is like an airport. One has to still take the flight from there. So that cultivation is what Srila Prabhupada is vehemently appealing, that everybody has to raise his consciousness. Even a Shudra has to raise his consciousness to the platform of a Brahmana and a Vaishnava. Let's read further. एतम् इह वै स्वगर्दापतयो ब्राह्मणादयो मृगया विहार अतीर्थे च मृगा निघ्नन्ति तानपि सम्परेतानलक्ष्य भूतान्यमपुरुषा इषुभिः विधयन्ति. If in this life a man of higher class, Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya, is very fond of taking his pet dogs, he also races into the forest to hunt and kill animals unnecessarily. He is placed after death into the hell known as Pranarodha. They are the assistants of Yamaraj, make him their targets and pierce him with arrows. In Western countries, especially aristocrats, keep dogs and horses to hunt animals in the forest. Whether in the West or the East, the aristocratic men in the Kali Yuga adopt the fashion of going to the forest and unnecessarily killing animals. Men of the higher caste, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, should cultivate the knowledge of the Brahman, and they should also give the Shudras a chance to come to that platform. If instead they indulge in hunting, they are punished as described in this verse. Not only are they pierced with arrows by the agents of Yamaraj, but they are also put in the ocean of pus, urine, and stool described in the previous verse. Because they still remain a Shudra. The import here is important. We see one who gets the power adopts the tendency to exploit. So one who gets the power adopts the tendency to exploit. And therefore, when one gets the power, one has to be extra careful. One has to be taking an extra step to ensure that one doesn't get intoxicated by that power. That is the point. Because here it is being said that if one is killing unnecessary animals, one has to pay back. One has to be a similar recipient of being a target and a victim. So we see that this is very much applicable and relevant to us when it comes to power. So therefore, we see the more one gets position or a higher profile status in Krishna consciousness, the more one should be very, very attentive to add on menial services in one's life. Otherwise, the tendency to exploit will be there. The more one has to be very conscious, the more one has to be very cautious, the more one has to be uh, in this mood of being a servant of the servant. That is the point. So just day before yesterday, Suranand Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj was speaking this point very that many times we see devotees in a leadership position, they become they become complacent, rather luxurious and and comfortable. So all the juniors, they are running, foaming in the mouth, running hard, working hard, but the credit goes to the leader. Although the leader may not be doing working hard himself, oneself. So many times, so it's not. See, the material process may be like that. That okay, as one goes higher, one will just sits down, relaxes, and enjoys, and all others keep working hard for me. In spiritual life, the higher one goes, the harder one should work. That is the point. Otherwise, Maharaj said that such a leader is a heropreneur. Heropreneur. And Maharaj was saying many devotees in our society, unfortunately, are heropreneurs. They themselves don't struggle, but they want to take credit on the struggle of the younger and the junior devotees. So this very attitude is very dangerous. We have to pay a price for it. Because this attitude takes us towards away from Krishna. This attitude is very poisonous. And therefore, as a devotee, we have to understand the more we get services which are of a leadership role, the more we should increase our hard work. So therefore, I always feel that I should always visualize when we are in a service. Now, one should have that mode that just like in Vedic times, the Kshatriya ruler used to be the first to go to the battle. And at the forefront, not at the back, being shielded by thousands of soldiers. No, one should be right in the front. So that was a Kshatriya. So that kind of spirit is required actually in service. Otherwise, one is cultivating a ground which is very prone or which is very, very favorable for demoniac traits to surge. Let's read further. Page 25. ये तव इह वै दम्भिकदं वयजनेषु पशु विशशन्ति तान् अमुस्मिन् लोके वैशसे नरके पतिता निरयपतयो यतयत्वविषयन्ति. A person who in this life is proud of his eminent position and who heedlessly sacrifices animals simply for material prestige is put into the hell called Vishasana after death. There, the assistants of Yamaraj kill him after giving him unlimited pain. In the Bhagavad Gita 6:41, Krishna says, Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yogo Bhrashta Vijayate. Because of his previous connection with Bhakti Yoga, a man is born into a prestigious family of Brahmanas and aristocrats. Having taken such a birth, one should utilize it to perfect Bhakti Yoga. However, due to bad association, one often forgets that his prestigious position has been given to him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he misuses it by performing various kinds of so-called yajnas, like the Kali Puja, Durga Puja, in which the poor animals are sacrificed. How such a person is punished is described here. The word Dambha Yagneshu in this verse is very significant. If one violates the Vedic instructions while performing the yajna and simply makes a show of sacrifice for the purpose of killing animals, is punishable after death. In Calcutta, there are many slaughterhouses where animal flesh is sold that has supposedly been offered in sacrifice before the goddess Kali. The Shastras enjoin that one can sacrifice a small goat before the goddess Kali once a month. Nowhere it is said that one can maintain a slaughterhouse in the name of temple worship and daily killing the animals unnecessarily. Those who do so receive the punishments described here. So we see unrestricted uh, Here, the killing of the animals is being highlighted as a short way to go ahead. So now, but then there are certain sections of the Shastras which are giving the killing of the animals in a regulated way. See, when one is following that, one goes above it. One gets rid of it. So, in fact, even a practitioner the of these subsidiary principles which are there in the Vedas to elevate one's consciousness, even a practitioner of that should have the mindset that eventually I want to get out of it, but just because I'm not able to get out of it immediately, I am following these principles, which are of a lower stature than the pure principles of pure devotional service. But I want to get out of it. Therefore, I am following it to get out of it. This is the same attitude which every follower of Varnashram also should have. Understanding that just like we see here, that for those who are addicted to it, meat eating, there is a clause once in a month, one can offer some meat, flesh to Guraskali, and then so that restriction is there. So person is for so in the same way we see the Varnashrama allowances are all like that for every Varna. They are of a similar stature. That okay, one can take meat once in a month. So similarly, people who have attachments, very deep and tangled attachments to different kinds of material groups, are given some alliance for some time. But a person undertaking that particular alliance should have the mindset that I need to get out of it. That is why Kalam Karan Maharaj used to say, who's an ideal grihastha? He said that an ideal grihastha is a person who, while he's getting married, he's doing that fire sacrifice, he's doing the parikrama of the fire sacrifice, the 7 rounds. While doing the rounds, he's thinking, when will I get out? When will I get out? So such a person is a healthy person. That should be a mindset. So even while one is accepting the alliances, one should have the mindset that I need to get out of it immediately. But yes, 1, 2, 3, off I go. That should be the mindset. Let's read further. Text 26. Yastav ihavai savarnam bharayam jujorekah payayati kamamohitastam papakritam amudra reta pulyayam पातयित्वा वेतसं पाययन्ति. If a foolish member of the twice born classes, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, forces his wife to drink his semen out of a lusty desire to keep her under control, he is put after death into the hell known as Larabhaksha. There he is thrown into a flowing river of semen which he is forced to drink. The practice of forcing one's wife to drink one's own semen is a black art practiced by extremely lusty persons. Those who practice this very abominable activity say that if a wife is forced to drink her husband's semen, she remains very faithful to him. Generally, only low-class men engage in this black art. But if a man of a higher class does so, after death he is put into the hell known as Lala Bhaksha. There he is immersed in a river known as Shukra Nadi and forced to drink semen. It's very ghastly. So ghastly sensuality meets a very ghastly future. Let's read further. Yes, tat iha vai dasayavo ganida garadagrava sarthan vavilumpanti rajano rajbhatavatams chapi hi paretya यमदूतवज्रतं श्रितः स्वानः सप्तशतानि विंशतिश्च सरभाषा खादद्भिः. Sorry. In this world, some persons are professional plunderers who set fire to others' houses or administer poison to them. Also, members of the royalty or government officials sometimes plunder mercantile men by forcing them to pay income tax and by other methods. After death, such demons are put into the hell known as Sarameyadana. On that planet, there are 720 dogs with teeth as strong as thunderbolts. Under the orders of the agents of Yamaraj, these dogs voraciously devour such sinful people. In the 12th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that in this age of Kali, everyone will be extremely disturbed by three kinds of tribulations: scarcity of rain, famine, and heavy taxation by the government. Because human beings are becoming more and more sinful, there will be a scarcity of rain, and naturally, no food grains will be produced. On the plea of relieving the suffering caused by the ensuing famine, the government will impose heavy taxes, especially on the wealthy mercantile community. In this verse, the members of such a government are described as das thieves. Their main activity will be to plunder the wealth of the people. So, whether a highway robber or a government thief, such a man will be punished in his next life by being thrown into the hell known as Sarameyadana, where he will suffer greatly from the bites of ferocious dogs. So, robbing and cheating others' wealth is very dangerous. So, that's being described here. Many times people feel that this is very contradictory to modern day idea. Because modern day, the people feel that in business, if you're smart enough and you can fool people enough, you can charge any amount of profit you want. So if you can convince them to buy what you're offering, any amount of profit you can extract. There is no problem, and that is what people think is no, that's business, that's right, that's how things are. So no, if one exploits and cheats others of another, robs others of their wealth, then there is this hell, Saramayadana, which is waiting for them. So therefore, everything should work on the principle of ethics. That is the point. One cannot. So whose example you should follow to remain safe? You should follow the example of Kola Vijay. Kola Vijay was a businessman. He would send banana leaves, and his banana leaves, but he would sell banana leaves at the lowest cost. That kind of businessman he was. And then after that, whatever he would get, 50% he would after it to Krishna. Mother Ganges, to Mother Ganges, Krishna. And the rest 50% he would offer to Lord Chaitanya. I mean, almost the other. So, so basically, we see, so that is a very beautiful example of how not to cheat and uh, by trickery, by force, by enticement, by bewitchment to rob others of their money. Very Saramedana is waiting. So, for such a person. Let's read further. 28. Yastat ihava anaritam padam vadati sakshi dravya vinimayi daneva kathanchit savai pretya narake vichimati akashira niravakashe yojana satosharatki मूर्धन संपद्यते यत्र जलम् इव स्थलम् अस्मापृष्ठम् अवभासते तत् अविजिमात् पिबसु विशीर्यमाना शरीरो न म्रियमाण पुनरारोपितो निपतति. A person who in this life bears false witness or lies while transacting business or giving charity is severely punished after death by the agents of Yamaraj. So the sinful man is taken to the top of a mountain 800 miles high and thrown headfirst into the hell known as Avichimat. This hell has no shelter and is made of strong stone resembling the waves of water. There is no water there, however, and it is thus called Avichimat, waterless. Although the sinful man is repeatedly thrown from the mountain and his body is broken into tiny pieces, he still does not die but continuously suffers chastisement. So it is very unfortunate. Sometimes even some devotees resort to this business of lying. A devotee cannot speak lies for any reason. Devotee cannot speak lies. But sometimes some devotees speak lies just to get things done, just to manipulate others. So it is it's a very dangerous habit. Many times people feel, no, in management you have to be diplomatic and you have to be cunning, and so that you get because you need to get things done and so on and so forth. No, a spiritual leader or a devotee in a leadership position or a manager in a devotee setting is supposed to lead others by inspiration and example, not by duplicitousness and cunningness. Material algorithms work in the material world. The spiritual algorithm is lead by example, lead by inspiration, lead by service attitude, not lead by duplicitousness. Not by duplicitousness. So that's why you see duplicitousness is a hell. I'll get to it. Okay, so there is a question: if money is used in service of the Lord, will it still be sinful? Oh, yeah. Bhagavatam explains one has to be very careful with money because as soon as money comes, there is always the chance of infection and intoxication, which results in usage of money other than the mission of the Lord for one's own self. And that is a very great point. So money has to be handled very carefully. Very carefully. Uh, very carefully and attentively. Just like if one is working in a laboratory where there are chemicals, so these chemicals can burn a person or it may be poisonous. So one has to be very careful. Otherwise, one may get poisoned oneself. So the same way the money has to be dealt with. Okay, so let's go to the next verse. Text 29. यस्तव इह वै विप्रो राजन्यो वैश्यो वा सोमपीठास् तत् कलत्रां वसुरामृतस्थोऽपि पिबति प्रमदतास्तेषां निरया नीतनाम् उरशी पादाक्रम्यस्य वहनेन द्रवमानं कार्शनायाशं निषिञ्चन्ति. Any Brahmana or Brahmana's wife who drinks liquor is taken by the agents of Yamaraj to the hell Ayapana. Ayapana. This hell also awaits any Kshatriya, Vaishya, or a person under a vow who in illusion drinks somaras. In Ayapana, the agents of Yamara stand on the chests and pour hot melted iron into their mouths. What a cascade. One should not be Sarvapach. One should not be a Brahmana in name only and engage in all kinds of sinful activities. Especially drinking liquor, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas must behave according to the principles of their order. If they fall down to the level of the Shudras who are accustomed to drink liquor, they will be punished as described here. So we can clearly see that these Vedic allowances are all very dangerous and risky roads. So therefore, for a person who just cannot do without it, is allowed to do it under very strict regulation and scrutiny. It is best to get rid of it and get out of it because it is very dangerous and very deadly. See, here we are saying, hey, Brahmana drinking liquor, very deadly. Liquor may be an allowance to a certain extent for a Shudra. Like we hear in the mode of ignorance worship, the five M's. So Madira is one of them. Mas, Madira, Matsara, so on. Maithun, so on. So we have to understand those are actually very dangerous. But if the person is not able to get out of it, get rid of it, such a person is giving a life. So, but one has to have the mindset to get rid of it as soon as possible, and that is the idea. So whereas so that is why we see all such allowance now algorithms are not one's home. Those are only a hotel room. That's all. Enough 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and then get out of it to the platform of goodness. Residence should be made on the platform of goodness. Yes, equal. Thirty. अतः च निस्सव इह वा आत्मा संभवानेन स्वयं अथमो जन्म तपो विद्याचर वर्णाश्रमः वरीयशो न बहुमन्ये कस मृतका एव मृत्वा शारकर्दमे निरये वाक्षिरनिपुतो दुरन्तयतन यातना है अश्नुते. A low-born and abominable person who in this life becomes falsely proud, thinking that I am great, and who thus fails to show proper respect to one more elevated than he, by birth, austerity, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order, is like a dead man even in this lifetime, and after death is thrown head first into the hell known as Sharakardama. There he must suffer great tribulation at the hands of the agents of Yamara. But one should not be falsely proud. One must be respectful towards a person more elevated than he by birth, education, behavior, caste, or spiritual order. If one does not show respect to such highly elevated persons, when he indulges in false pride, he receives a punishment in Sharakarma. In the seventh canto of Bhagavatam, the beautiful section comes wherein it is explained that this consciousness of aham mameti brings in, by default, brings in lust and greed. So the moment one starts investing in this aham mameti, immediately lust and greed are soaring high. So in the same context, that extension probably explains the purpose. Like you see, when a person is having false ego, then so the mindset which results from a person having false ego, that mindset is the demoniac mindset. So false ego is a manifester of this demoniac mindset. Zolan Bhakti Vasudeva Maharaj explains this as phenomenological mindset, the demoniac mindset. The demoniac mindset. So it is all false ego. That means false ego brings the demoniac mindset. That is why a devotee should always strain oneself and struggle to get out of this false ego. That is why Mahaprabhu said this verse of Tinadapi Sunishena, wear it as a necklace on your neck always. And that is what will protect you or decorate you and make you glitter in your life. Yeah. Let's read further. Great text study well. Kastam iha vai purusha purusha medhe nayante yas shasriyo narpashun khadam pitamshate pashabhakyo nihata yamasadane yatayanto rakshapana. Shanika eva Swadhipinavadayashi pibanti nityanti cha gayanti cha dishyavana yatheha purushadana. There are men and women in this world who sacrifice the human beings to Bhairava or Bhadrakali and then eat the victim's flesh. Those who perform such sacrifices are taken up death to the abode of Yamaraj, where their victims, having taken the form of Rakshasas, cut them into pieces of sharpened sand. Just as in this world, the man-eaters drank their victims' blood, dancing and singing in jubilation, their victims now enjoy drinking the blood of the sacrifices and celebrating in the same way. Yeah, everything is going to come back to us. So therefore, everything what we do is going to come back to us. So uh, better to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. Because whatever we give in this world will come back to us. So we give, we spread exploitation will be exploited. So that's the principle. When we spread love, we get love. We spread connection to Krishna, our connection to Krishna gets strengthened. Let's read further. Text 32. Yastav ihava anagato nigameva vishram bhake upasishna upavishramaya Didi Vishnu Sula Sutra Vishpa Prota Kridanakadaya Yatayanti Te Pichapre Yamayatana Shuru Sula Vishu Protatmana Shukridvayam Chabhihata Kanka Vatadivir Chetastatas Stigma Tunde ahanyamana atma samal smaranti. In this life, some people give shelter to animals and birds that come to them for protection in the village or the forest. And after making them believe that they will be protected, such people pierce them with lances and threads and play with them like toys, giving them great pain. After death, such people are brought by the assistance of Yamaraj to the hell known as Sulaprota, where their bodies are pierced with sharp, needle-like lances. They suffer from hunger and thirst, and sharp-beaked birds such as vultures and herons come to them from all sides to tear at their bodies. Tortured and suffering, they can then remember the sinful activities they committed in the past. So this is the case of the Rakshak becoming a Bhakshak goes to hell. And, okay, let's see. Next 33 then. यस्तत् इह वै भूतानि उद्वेजयन्ति नर उल्बना स्वभावयथा दण्डसुखास्ते प्रेत्य नरक दण्डाः सुखाख्ये विपतन्ति यत्र हितं दण्डसुख Panchamuka Saptamuka Upasasthyagra Santi Yata Vileshaya. Those who are those who in this life are like envious persons, always angry and giving pain to other living entities, fall after death into the hell known as Dandasukha. And you think in this hell there are serpents with 5 or 7 hoods. These serpents eat such sinful persons just like snakes, they eat the mice. This is wrong. 11:50. Huh? 11:50. Huh? हाँ क्या करना है स्टिल हाँ 11:50 हो गया तो those who in this life are like envious serpents, always angry and giving pain to other living entities, fall after death into the hell known as Nandasuka. My dear king, in this hell of serpents with 5 or 7 hoods, these serpents eat such sinful persons just as snakes eat the mice. So we will see actually that the living entity. You see, even in this life, one no, a person who is on a wrong trajectory suffers very badly. And the pain or the torture which one will undergo because of one's wrongdoing is equivalent to the pain and torture which is being mentioned here. So this should give us an understanding that whatever we offer, that is what we get back. Cheap exploitation comes back in the form of extreme torture. In this life, as well as in the hellish destination after the life. So therefore, we can understand, just by understanding this description of the hellish planets, we can understand that how important it is for the entire humanity to wake up to the reality of what they are doing. People are digging their own graves. They are detonating time bombs on themselves, nothing else. And therefore, it is very important. And that is why it was being explained that the Brahmana's duty is to give a chance, an opportunity to the Shudras for them to become Vaishnavas and devotees. To bring about that awakening in people that this kind of a callous, careless, sensuous life is so detrimental. It's 34. Yastav ihava andhavata kushala guha vishubhutan निरुन्धन्ते कथमुत्र तेष एवोपवेश्य सागरेण वहनेन धूमेन निबध्नन्ति. Those who in this life confine other living entities in dark wells, granaries, or mountain caves are put after death into hell known as Avata Nirodhana. They themselves are pushed into dark wells where poisonous fumes and smoke suffocate them and they suffer very severely. Text 35. Yastav ihava atithin abhyagatana grihapati asakrit upagata manyur didakshur eva papena chakshusha निरीक्षते तस्य चापि निधये पापतिष्ठे अक्षिणि वज्रतुण्ड गृध्राः कङ्ककाः वाततयः प्रसायोरुबलाः उत्पतयन्ति. A soldier who receives guests or visitors with cruel glances, as if to burn them to ashes, is put in the hell called as Pariyavartana, where he is gazed at by hard-eyed vultures, herons, crows, and similar birds, which suddenly swoop down and pluck out his eyes with great force. According to the Vedic etiquette, even an enemy who comes to a householder's home should be received in such a gentle way that he forgets that he has come to the home of an enemy. A guest who comes to one's home should be received very politely. If he is unwanted, the householder should not stare at him with unblinking eyes. But one who does so will put into the hell known as Pariyavartana after death. And then many ferocious birds like vultures, crows, and herons will suddenly come upon him and pluck out his eyes. So guest reception should be done at a very high pedestal, right? Because otherwise this kind of dangerous hell is waiting for us. So one cannot, one cannot feel that. In fact, it is a grahastha dharma. No? There was a grahastha dharma. See, that the temple of a dharma, the dharma of a temple is to invite sadhus to come because tirthe kurvanti tirthani. And the dharma of a grahastha is to always invite visitors and serve them very nicely. Why? Because when one does that, one is plugged out of one's own loop of self gratification. So Grahastha does not invite visitors and serve them. Then what will happen is that there is a lot of tendency to get absorbed in, entangled in the sensuality, which the ground of family life offers. To get out of it, guest reception. Similarly, in a temple where there are no senior devotees, such a temple may also simply get engrossed in so-called, in their so-called, practice, in which complacency, in which false pride, balam rai, pujala, pratishtha will become a prominent topic. Because only when great souls come, then all this fog is exposed. And by humbly serving them, one is brought to the reality that I am the servant, I am not the boss, not the false ego, the demoniac traits in that way, dissolved simply by serving. So guest reception, very, very important person. Because in fact, our whole, so our focus, so our focus in spiritual life, the strength which we need in spiritual life, inspiration, all this is dependent on this principle of guest reception. So with great heart, one should. So that is why with great heart one should enter the guest reception. So therefore, Shiva and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says out of the three prominent principles which can propel us in bhakti, Vaishnava Seva is one of the pedestal. So Amaruchi Jivadaya Vaishnava Seva. So the Vaishnava Seva dignitated one of the three pillars is called. So and that is very visually being depicted here. That there is this hell, and those vultures and crows become and they become upon such a person's eyes, very ghastly. Okay, so I think let's stop here for today. So we thank all the devotees for being with us. For today, Atul Prabhu, Gulshan Prabhu, Shiva Kumar Prabhu, Tesh Prabhu, thank you. Karan Prabhu, thank you very much. Gulshan Prabhu, Shiva Prabhu, thank you. Ravi Kumar Prabhu, thank you for coming. Who else is there? Shiva Prabhu, thank you. Shiva Prabhu, yeah, thank you. Hare Bol, Jai Prabhupada Bhagavatam ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai, Hare Krishna.